Welcome to the interview with Adam Dare. In today's interview, we're gonna talk about a few very key points, and we'll be able to talk about other things as well, but we want to cover these key points here. Before I introduce the webinar, I want to introduce Adam Dare, a good friend of mine. He is the founder of Own Your Fitness, and he's a strength and conditioning trained coach, fitness and weight loss expert, anti-aging specialist, black belt tournament competitive fighter, and leadership and motivational speaker, and an entrepreneur. The list goes on. He's got over 12 years of experience in training people in fitness and mindset. So it's not that he just trains people in terms of fitness, but what I love about what Adam does is that he trains people's mindset first before he even goes into the physical, and that's very important, and very few fitness trainers know how to do that. So that's why I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to learn from Adam today. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to get Adam to talk about it. But let me introduce the webinar first. So today's webinar, we're going to talk about a few key points that you're going to learn, and you're going to be able to ask a few questions at the end. If you have questions at the end of the webinar, and you can raise your hand, I'll let you know how that's done. But as long as you're in the webinar, you'll be able to ask some questions from Adam and from myself. And so what are we covering? In this webinar, we're going to cover the secret to success as an entrepreneur, handling failure, obstacles, and rejection in fitness and in life, the secret to staying in great shape, how to develop the motivation to stay healthy, and much more, as I mentioned in the post where you registered for this webinar. Now, let me make sure everything is good. Adam, you can hear me, right?
I can, loud and clear.
All right, so before we get started, Adam, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so the audience can understand what exactly you do, and what made you go into fitness and motivational speaking and being an entrepreneur?
Wow, well, you know, to be honest, I get asked that question all the time, like why I chose what I chose. There's different ways to answer that. First way I answer that is it actually chose me, to be honest. I believe that it had a purpose for me. I believe that it was a calling for me. And I believe I was also searching a way on how I could turn something that is the most important thing in our lives, which I truly believe, into a way to make my livelihood and my way of living and my way of self-expression and whatnot. And the most important thing I was taught from a young age by my parents, and what I really gravitated towards was your health. And I was at a point in my life that I was competing in martial arts. I competed in Olympic style Taekwondo at a very high level, and it came to a point where when I got my black belt, the impact that it made on people, I fell in love with it. The impact it made on me, the impact it made on people, the impact it made on their mindset, and I wanted to somehow turn that into my way of living and my profession and my career. I felt like I was born to do that. I felt like I was meant to do that. I started interviewing with pharmaceutical companies and medical device companies because I was once in the corporate world as well as a professional and wanted to turn my passion into my business. And I realized that really it's fitness and lifestyle that makes all the difference in order for someone to become healthy, and not just healthy in the body, but we're talking about healthy in emotions and healthy in mind and healthy in philosophy and healthy in that sense of well-being. And I feel like, you know, I found my calling, you know, and if it's been branched and evolved from just teaching fitness into high-level strength and conditioning and personal training and one-on-one training to group training, and then evolved into becoming a speaker and a leadership presenter, and then evolved into a self-defense instructor, and it evolved into so many other things, you know. So it's not like it was an easy journey, but it evolved, and because I evolved, you know.
That's really great, and that's an inspiring story for me personally, and I'm sure it is for others as well. As we, one of the things as being an entrepreneur, it's something very new for me as well. One of the things before you start on your journey that you hear is that it's difficult, but people don't really understand what that means, that going on that journey is difficult. And what does it take to be an entrepreneur? And these are the things that people want to know before they get started, because they have so many questions. And I want to get you to talk about it because you have more experience in this, and then I'm going to go a little bit into it as well, if I can add something to it. So what do you think is that secret to being an entrepreneur, and what does it take to continue to be one?
Okay, so the number one thing I would say it has helped me, Steve Jobs talked about it, Bruce Lee talked about it in a way, indirectly, Muhammad Ali talked about it, is in indirect ways, you know, not everyone uses the same word, but indirectly, it's passion. You have to be completely passionate about what you do. It's like that Steve Jobs speech that I heard a while ago, where he said you've got to be completely passionate, because if you're not, you're going to fail and you're going to give up, because it takes a lot of hard work over a sustained amount of time, which means over a certain amount of time that no other average person, we're talking just generally, is able to continue, because it's very hard. Right, you've got to wake up every day and you've got to be driven by a passion or a vision or a purpose, and it has to be a passion that has to hit you internally, emotionally. It has to be important emotionally. What that means is that your emotions have to be engaged in order for you to do. So why does Beyonce have so much energy? Why does Beyonce keep going for hours and hours on the stage, and Michael Jackson became, one of the best pop stars of our generation, many generations over? It's because they've got passion, they've got a vision. They decided to do something so well, and they had a bigger reason for it. So Michael Jackson had a reason that he wanted to be the best entertainer for the people. Bruce Lee wanted to talk the truth, the real truth, what was fighting martial arts was all about, and traditional versus non-traditional. So passion is really key. The second thing I always tell my clients and everyone else is, when I work with people, when I'm in business, when I'm an entrepreneur, and as I'm an entrepreneur, resiliency is the number one or equally important. What that means is you've got to be consistently resilient. Why do we do push-ups till failure? Why do we do squats till our legs shake? Why do we do pull-ups till our arm muscles are hurting us? And that's because you're resilient and you're moving towards a certain specific goal that you have. It could be a physical goal, it could be an emotional goal, it could also be a mental goal, whatnot. So you got to really be driven by that goal. And if that goal is connected to your emotions, then you're backed by powerful emotions. You get it? So it's really just that. There is no secret. It's really passion, resiliency, and having a purpose. When I do peak performance coaching for people, they ask me, can you get us to realize or help us understand what our purpose is? I ask them very simple questions. I go, what's your goal? Why is it that you're here? What do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? I really try to dig deep and what is it that's going to drive them, and why is it that that's going to drive them?
Okay, that's really great. You actually summarized basically what I would have talked about anyway. And one of the things that I've learned in terms of being an entrepreneur is that it really is a lot of work. It really is, because you're creating an organization. Just starting out, you'll be the only person. and you have to be behind that vision. You have to be behind that that goal that you've set for yourself. And the way it starts is that desire, that passion that you mentioned. If we don't have that passion, you're not going to wake up every day and do it. And as we all know, in the beginning of every business, there's, in terms of financial gain, there's very little, if any. And then as we keep going with our desire, with our passion, our vision is clear for what we're doing. And then after that, all it is what I call that is persistence. If you're persistent in what you're doing, you're continuing on, you're not giving up. You call it resilience, but it might be a bit of a difference. But all it is that you continue on, regardless of how difficult it is. And what pulls you forward is that passion. What pulls you forward is that vision that you've set for yourself. And very few people have it. That's why very few people even go towards becoming an entrepreneur. Those are great points that you mentioned. You also mentioned the emotions aspect of it, and very few people know how much our emotions affect us. You talked about the questions aspect of it, that we just as you ask your clients question, we can all ask ourselves the same questions as well, right?
Of course. I mean, you got to have a internal dialogue, an internal question and answer awareness in you to take you on the right path and keep you there. I mean, it could be as little as like, did I really earn that burger and fries? You know, I've got my own treat meals. Did I really earn that chocolate brownie? You know, or it could go to something so deep like, what am I waking up for today? You know, and I think a lot of people do have that. As human beings, we all have that internally, to be driven by that self-talk. It's just that I've learned a lot of people, some people welcome that, and some people don't welcome that, and there are reasons for that as well. You know, so the people that welcome it, they're aware and they're at a point in their life where they want to make a change that they're seeking. And some people don't want to welcome that dialogue, or they sort of just brush it against the carpet, because at that point it's going to make them realize that they're not doing what they want to do, and it causes an emotional pain, or it causes a sense of disappointment. But I say that pain and that disappointment is a good thing. I say be in pain. I'm all about being in pain and emotional pain, because that drives you to understand that there's something you're not doing in your life that you should be doing. So I'm actually all for causing a little bit of self-awareness and a little bit of discomfort and pain. I mean, if I didn't like pain, or if I didn't believe what pain could do for me, there's no way I'd be squatting what I squat and putting myself through a leg day. I mean, I laugh about it with my friends and my clients. I'm very transparent. I tell my clients that leg day is a love and hate relationship for me. I have to work out 3 times as hard on a leg day, and I'm sore for 4 days in a row, 3 days in a row, and my appetite goes through the roof. But it's really just being so honest with yourself and truthful. That's what it's all about.
That's really great that you brought that up, and I talk about this quite a bit too. Our self-awareness is that what is that internal dialogue? Are we stuck in a tape where it just keeps? A lot of people have most people have an internal dialogue, but some people have a repeated dialogue inside their head, and they don't get out of that cycle. And that's, a lot of people call that limiting beliefs that they have. They keep repeating those limiting beliefs. I can't do this. Oh, I'm never going to get these results. Blah 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 blah. But you can actually decide what your internal dialogue is, and you can train your mind to have a better internal dialogue, to tell yourself that, okay, if I do this, I'm going to get this result. If I go through this training, I'm going to get this. If I work hard towards it, I'm going to get the results. But you have to believe in that, and you have to see the evidence, and you have to find that evidence for yourself. And like you mentioned about pain, pain is a very powerful motivator. Any personal development or motivator will tell you that pain is a way for us, it is a signal for us to go towards the results a lot of times. But what we do is we associate pain with suffering. We try to avoid pain.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very common in the Western culture that even with physical pain, when we get a small ailment, a small cold or a headache, people, the first sign of headache, what people do is they go for a pill. But
Yep.
there's a reason you're getting that headache. What is that signal telling you? Instead of
No.
watching up what that signal is, most of the time, what is it? As a fitness trainer, you'll know that people don't drink enough water, they don't sleep enough, and they get that headache. So instead of that, they will keep popping pills. But
Right.
that's the thing, pain and what you said about squatting and fitness is, in that sense, when we're pushing ourselves, there is always going to be a pain. And that's natural. And when we think about the natural forces that we have, the natural process, for example, if you look at the process of birth, there's pain involved in birth. But what does that give? But what is the result of that? A human being, another being. If the pain wasn't involved, you wouldn't get that result.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I always go back to how we deal with the pain and how aware are we of what actually the pain is. For me, pain is a signal that I'm either doing something right or doing something wrong. But you have to decide what it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
I agree
that's
with
really
that.
good.
That's all that's. I mean, that's what Tony Robbins' system is, right? Pain and pleasure. You know, he's got this exercise. I've been into self-development from a very young age, and he's got this exercise where he asks you to think about sitting on a rocking chair where you're 80 years old or very old, and then thinking about in your head what you'd be regretting. What have you? Are you regretful of anything you haven't done, or what you've done? And I'll be honest with you. You know, um, I have gone from a martial arts competitor to a fighter to a trainer to a coach to a speaker, whatnot, and I always realize that if there's something I regret not doing, and if I go on too many days feeling like it might be too late one day, my sense of motivation just comes up to here, right here, and I just go crush it, you know. And sometimes it takes a long time for it's like the law of attraction, the universe. Sometimes it takes a long time for it to manifest. I'll give you a story right now. 13, 14 years ago, when I retired out of tournament competing, I was making a career change. A long story short, so when I left the corporate world, I teach a lot of people how to turn their passions into businesses. So when left the corporate world and I wanted to turn my passion into my business, I was thinking about coming up with a workout idea that would be a combination of Olympic style taekwondo, kickboxing, into modern day fitness and mixed with resistance training and jazzing it up a little bit and calling it a funky, fancy name, you know, and giving it a philosophy. You know, I'm also, your workout has to have a philosophy. And I haven't, I mean, I've taught a whole bunch of classes. I've taught all kinds of classes. When you're a fitness professional in the beginning, you have to take a lot of classes and sub whatever you can. And fortunately, I'm skilled at many things that I can sub many things, you know. And I'm driven by passion. So if you put me in a room and ask me to teach yoga, I'm skilled enough to teach yoga. You know, that's just one example. Although I'm not skilled enough to teach Zumba. But anyway. Um, so yesterday I spoke with a colleague of mine. He's 10 to 12 years my senior. He's got a workout DVD, and we just started talking about it. And he said to me, and he knows my background, and he wants to come up with a new fitness product under his brand that's going to have a kickboxing element to it, mixed with some other fusion techniques that we're going to use. And he wants me to be the content provider. So we're going to work on, you know, putting it down on paper, the content. I'm going to work on my ideas, and then I'm going to train for it, and then rehearse it a million times, because you have to rehearse it plenty of times. And then we're going to see if we're going to talk to his company that's going to provide the capital, and we're going to shoot it. So here's one example on how something I taught 13 to 15 years ago, a thought that I had, is now in its infancy stage. That's how sometimes you can connect the dots. You know, that's how it works. You gotta be able to understand, because it's something that's never left my emotional system, my brain system. It's something that's always been there. I always knew that I would teach something and brand it myself. You know, I've done other things, but now it's coming. It's coming to, hey, can you do this for us? And I'm like, well, I'm the guy to do it for you. Yeah.
And that's a really great story. That kind of reminds me of something that I talked to with my brother-in-law the other day, and we were talking about filling the void, or he was going through a period. He's still going through that period, and I know that a lot of people do. I've gone through that where you're going through life, you're doing whatever you're doing, but whatever you're doing, it's not fulfilling anything. But somewhere deep within you, there's another thing that's brewing. It's a feeling. It's like a longing. It's there, but it's an emotional, strong emotional calling, but you're not listening to it. And many people have that, but what they do is they keep suppressing that. And I had that for a while, I'd say for at least 4 or 5 years before I realized, okay, I need to change this. But it came to a point where I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't go to the work and say, okay, well, this is what I like. It's something unavoidable when it comes from within you. And the problem is that the more you try to avoid it, the more miserable you become. And that's what I find with a lot of people, is that many people have passions, but they refuse to face it. And the reason I think that most people don't want to face it is because we're taught in society so much that you can't do something. There's always anything you start, there's somebody that will tell you that that's not doable, or that nobody has done it, or that it's going to be too difficult, or that if you quit your current job or whatever else you're doing, it's going to be too hard of a journey for you, or too hard of an experience for you to handle it. But whatever the case is, we hear all these things, and around us, everybody's doing the same thing. We think, okay, well, if they can't do it, I can't do it either.
Right.
But
you know, the interesting thing about what you just said is a lot of people don't have to do what's discussed, or what a lot of people do. A lot of people don't have to turn their passion into a way of making their living, or a livelihood, or a career, because a lot of people find that actually removes the passion out of the game. All right? So what I say is, your passion can be totally separate from your profession. You could still be a lawyer, a banker, a baker, a plumber, a technologist, a politician, a dollar store owner, you know, a carpet weaver. You know, you could be a real estate person. You could be an investor. You could do whatever you want to do or have to do as part of your career, but you could still have a passion in the evenings or on the weekends, and that passion will be sort of like your fuel, you know, like a turn on, like something that actually fuels the rest of your life, where you go to night feeling you're happy and blessed, and the next day you wake up, you know, you're recharged to go back to work, to deal with whatever you've got to deal with. You follow me? So your passion doesn't have to be a full-time thing. A lot of people are completely happy with having a passion part-time thing. They're not. It doesn't have to be one formula fit all.
yeah, you're right, and that's something I agree with. But there's a prediction I have with that. So I actually go through this with my clients, where we're going through it, and many people, when they're going through a transformation where they're realizing that they need to do something meaningful with their lives. Obviously, when they realize that they still have to stay in the job that they're doing and somehow find a way to, on the side, do that. And I always encourage that, okay, you don't have to quit your job. Just start 2 hours a day, or an hour every day, go do that, start writing that book that you want, or start doing photography. And we have a friend in common that does that, and that's how he started, and he's still doing that. The point is that when you get started, you're allowing that creative side to come up. And here's my prediction: it'll either make you better at whatever you're doing on the side, or it will be so strong that eventually that'll become the thing you're going to do. It won't just be something on the side.
Well, I think I agree with the first part. I think it makes you better at what you do.
Yeah.
I think indirectly, whatever your passion is, makes you directly. That's why that age-old expression, you got to have a hobby. If you have a hobby, you're basically turning other parts of your brain and your emotional center on, which rejuvenates your cerebral process, which is what people use at work. You know, why do people work out? Why do people like to get pushed in the gym by me? Because it creates it ignites the internal inner champion in them. Think about it. I deal with people from all walks of life, and ultimately they're coming to me to teach them on how to be a better version of themselves, a stronger version of themselves in mind and spirit, right? In body and spirit. So they go back feeling like they can take on the world, and it's the same thing as having a hobby.
Yeah, and I think that's a necessity. It's not just something optional. I mean, hobby is becoming something a very casual thing, but I like calling it a passion more than the hobby, because the passion you will do it. Hobby, you can go pick something to do, for example, playing an instrument, but if you really are not into it, it's not your dream to learn that, then you're going to go for a bit and quit it. But if it's something that comes from within you.
Yeah, it has to be passion. Otherwise, you can disregard the hobby and just do Netflix and chill.
That could be a hobby. And many people, as we both know, have that. So let's transition more into. It's a great thing that we talked about all these things, and it'll give people quite a few points to start with. Now, how do you handle obstacle and rejection in life and in fitness? I mean, with all your experience, how were you able to handle it, and how do you advise or coach others to handle the same thing?
Okay, well, first of all, obstacles are very easy to handle. I'll give you the secret to handling. Okay, anytime I come across or against an obstacle, I basically ask myself what I would do in the gym. So, for example, a couple of years ago, I used to bench a certain weight, very heavy weight, for my body weight. And then now I can no longer do that weight. I'm close to it, but I can no longer do that weight. And then that's an obstacle, because the other day I tried it. My right shoulder started feeling a little bit of strain. I'm smart enough to know not to push that. So, I'm working around it. Now, that's an obstacle, one obstacle. The other obstacle is I have a client who knows what's good for her, but I have a harder time getting through to her. That's another obstacle. Most people can relate that to. And to be honest with you, an obstacle in the gym is dealt with the same way an obstacle in a business that's dealt with the same way. I basically self-talk myself and ask myself, what is it that I would do if I could not do X amount of push-ups in the gym or accomplish a certain goal in the gym? What is it I would do? It's an obstacle. Now's the time to get better. This obstacle is basically a slap in the face saying, hey, Adam, get better. Okay, this is your challenge. And challenges make us. This is a failure. I fail. Failures make me. Failures make us. Just like that, in business, our failures make us. I have had many failures in businesses as well, because I've had to learn the hard way. There is no book to entrepreneurship. I personally started walking the path, and I just had to turn and turn and turn until I figured certain things out. I'm still figuring things out, because now I'm on a different level than someone who's just starting out as a personal trainer or a fitness coach. So I think obstacles and failures are there for us. I think you're supposed to fail in the gym. You're supposed to feel discomfort. And if you're supposed to feel discomfort in the gym, you're supposed to actually feel discomfort in business. And if you're supposed to feel discomfort in business, chances are you're probably going to feel discomfort in your personal life or in your career, And that's why we get better. And then we get comfortable for a while. We're going like this, okay? This is what we call stagnation. in the fitness business you call it plateauing, okay? And then what happens when you plateau? If you no longer do this, you go down like this. So your growth actually deteriorates. Let me talk in bodybuilding terms, right? What's going to happen if I build this muscle like this bigger, and I don't, and let's say I only do 25 pounds, right? 25 pounds is my weight. I got it this big, and for the next 6 months I only do the same weight. Chances are I'll probably stay like this at this size for a certain time frame, and chances are as I get older, if I just continue the same weight, the deterioration is going to take an effect, and I'm going to start coming down. Now let's apply that theory to business. Let's say I continue doing what I'm doing, and I don't grow from where I am. 10 years from now, chances are I'm going to deteriorate. Now, what is deterioration in the business life? It means passion is burnt out, self-satisfaction is down, you feel like you're no longer making a purpose because you're not growing. So ultimately, when I explain this to people, I say you're supposed to grow because in discomfort there's growth. And if whether you're a door-to-door salesman knocking on doors asking people to buy something, you're supposed to feel that shame, that shyness, that discomfort, because after knocking your 50 doors, on the 50th door, your confidence is going to be yay high. You know, your self-esteem is going to be yay high. And now, sooner or later, you're going to be presenting to the younger guys out there how to be the best rock star door-to-door salesman.
That's a really great example that you brought. And let me put that in terms of life. We experience the same thing generally in our personal life as well, where many people, they go to school, they go to university, they start their work, but at some point they get so comfortable and they just do the same thing over and over and over, and like you said, they plateau. There's no growth involved anymore. And that's one of the big reasons people lose interest in whatever they're doing, because they're not really growing. And that's why some of the good companies, they have a lot of professional development courses. But some companies, they don't have that. And let's say if a person goes to college or university, after that they start their work, they stop learning. I know of quite a few people, they did their masters. After they did their masters, they stopped reading books, as if the learning stopped, as if the growth stopped. Same thing with trying to get better in your job. As soon as you stop the growth, like you said, it'll go for a period of time, it'll be like that, it'll go down, because your motivation goes down. We need that growth. As human beings, if you can see any pattern, we're always growing physically, emotionally, mentally. But if we try to stop that, that's where our misery comes in, that's where our suffering comes in. So it's a great point. We can use it in every area of our life, whether it be business. And I can tell you, in terms of my business, I've had to constantly keep changing things. And just speaking right now in front of, I've mentioned that several times. The first time I tried to speak in front of the camera, that wasn't too long ago, a year and a half ago, I would pause. I would just stop. The camera is recording, and I'm looking at it for like 5 minutes. And my wife is sitting there, she's like, "What are you doing?" I don't know. Am I supposed to be speaking to the camera? And then it took multiple tries doing over 50, 60, 70 videos until I actually got used to speaking to a camera. And that's what it takes, that we keep doing the same thing over and over and learning different ways of doing it better. That takes us towards success.
Absolutely. Repetition. Repetition is so fundamental, so important.
So that's really great. So then, how do you handle rejection? So let's say, I mean, in my business, I have a lot of, I go through free sessions with a lot of people, and a lot of times they don't get my program. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And same thing with any business. There are people who will come to you for a free session or for a one-time session, you're charging less, and then after that they don't want to listen to it. In terms of my videos, I mean, there are a lot of people that don't watch my videos. There are some people that do. There's some people look at my posts. It's slowly growing. But how do you, in terms of people's relationships, in terms of people's fitness, They feel like if they don't look a certain way, they feel rejected by people. Like, how do you deal with that? Or how do you help others deal with that?
You know, that's a good question. People have been asking for a long time now how to deal with rejection. You know, truth be told, in terms of a business, so you mentioned something like if you come across and you talk to someone and that person doesn't become a client of yours, or that person doesn't. This is for all the salespeople out there, and salespeople have to face a lot of rejections. We all have to face a lot of rejections. You know, you have to. One thing that I've realized and I've learned is that rejection is part of life. You know, I'm great at what I do. I like to believe I'm very knowledgeable, and my clients will speak for me. My work speaks for myself. My passion speaks for myself. But not every person is going to be my client. Not every person is going to be your client. Not every person is going to buy a cupcake from a certain bakery in New York City. Not every person is going to go to the same burger place that I want to go to. The reason is because at the end of the day, we're all unique and we're all different, right? So in the beginning of my career, I had such enthusiasm that I walked up to everyone and said, I'm the guy I can help you, okay? You have no idea how your life is going to change. And trust me, I still do the same and I still feel the same, but it's a little bit more matured and evolved because I'm a lot wiser now. But the point is, you have to come to a fact, an acknowledgement, and realize that not everyone is your client. Not everyone's going to be your date, and not everyone's going to be your business partner. Okay, and I think that's a good thing because it's like that age-old expression, like attracts like. So like in my facility, I'm in around many facilities in New York City and in the Jersey City area, right across the water from Manhattan. I find that not everyone's going to want to work with Own Your Fitness. You know, not everybody's going to want to work with me. Not everyone's going to do an online coaching session with me or you, and it's because truly we really make decisions on like attracts like, and we have to accept that. You know, rejection is part of life. It's nothing personal. It's nothing on me. It's nothing on you. It's nothing on that salesman that's going door to door. It's just that they haven't connected with a person where there's a need, the appropriate need provided by the solution provider and the buyer. You know, it's nothing personal. Celebrities get rejected all the time. Politicians get rejected all the time, of course. You know, that's a huge topic. We get rejected all the time. Rejection is just part of life. Just part of life. It's nothing personal.
Yeah, and I think we can say the same thing with obstacles, failure, rejection. They all fall into the same category, that as soon as we make it accepted as a big part of life, as a way to grow, as a way to learn from those experiences, then all they become is experiences. And you can just ask yourself, what do I need to learn from this experience? And that's what I do with my clients when I go through with them. One of the few things I want to make sure that I've done in terms of my session, whether that be a free session or a paid session, an initial session, what I do is that I make sure I deliver that value. I make sure they understand why they need that program, and I make sure that I'm clear on the requirements of the program and what they're going to learn. And if I do my job in that sense, then if they still don't want it, that's because they're not ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because they're rejecting me. It's because they're not ready for it in their own life, and that's the story of every business in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There are businesses that will force people in terms of their marketing constantly, but what the new age for marketing is becoming more about who is your ideal client rather than how many people are you going to sell to. Because I'd rather have a client who's who's passionate about making a difference in their life rather than me trying to convince a client that you need this for sure. And then after they go through a few sessions, they realize that, okay, well, they don't have it in them. They don't want to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a 100% believer of that. when you come across a person and you're helping or you're offering, you could be the rock star, the best fitness professional in the world, but if someone's just not ready to work on themselves, or they don't have a ready goal, or they haven't hit a point in their life where they're actually seeking out some star quality help, then they're not going to want to do it. You know, they're just not ready. I'll give you a very common example. I meet people all the time in the gym and everywhere I go, and a lot of times I'll meet someone who's going to say, yeah, I want to work with you, and then I'll never hear from them, and then a year later that person's going to say, you know, my boyfriend proposed to me, I'm married, I'm getting married, and I bought a dress, and this is something I'm so motivated by, and I want to do a fit for the dress program with your company, and they become the most motivated client. They eat clean, they lift weights, they do their high intensity cardio, they do the stretching and yoga, they keep in touch with me or one of my teammates, and that person is ready, you know. But a year ago, that person's not ready. So that is prime example that, you know, it's true in fitness, in business, in sales, and whatever it is you want to do. The person has to be ready to make a move. And that's when you know that it's nothing on the professional. So if you're a professional person out there, a business person out there, a salesperson out there, know this, that it's not on you, it's nothing personal. The potential lead or the person you're approaching is not ready. How many realtors out there are constantly sending emails? Think about real estate business. You know, realtors give the cards out all the time, and then eventually they'll get a ton of emails, and emails are like, what about that property? What about that? What's the price on that? What about that? But when a realtor tries to make an appointment and take it one step closer, saying, okay, well, when are you free to make a meeting and talk? You know, the realtor's not going to hear from that person, because it's just email, right? You don't have to say face to face, well, I'm not ready yet, I'm just window shopping. So do you think that if every realtor took it personally and quit, the real estate of New York would be a gazillion dollars? The real estate of Toronto would be a gazillion dollars, you know? It wouldn't, because they do realize that when the person is ready, and if the professional is honest, transparent, has a genuine interest at heart, then that's the person they'll call. And the same thing I do for my business.
Yeah, I think this is what separates the old system for sales, where we get those salespeople that are pushy in the sense that, oh, you really need this product, doesn't, even if you don't need it. But now we're moving, especially because I've gone to so many seminars related to sales and marketing. You find that people who are making millions of dollars, they didn't do it because they were pushy. Yeah, they remind people constantly that, okay, this is my product and this is why you should get it. But they don't push the product onto people in the sense that, oh, if you don't get this, your life is gonna be ruined. No, if you don't get this, you're not ready. But it's that transparency and honesty and delivering of value that brings your customers towards you. Mm-hmm. And I think you can apply the same thing towards your relationships. Nowadays, in terms of relationships, if you look at it, we live in a world where people need to see more authenticity, rather than, okay, this is what I have, and this is my job, this is that. Who are you as a person? They want to see your behavior. They want to see your true self, or at least the truest self that you can express to that person. And the more honest and transparent you are about yourself, the better the relationship will be in the long run. The less honest you are, the worse it gets over time.
Absolutely. You just reminded me of another speaker. His name is Simon Sinek. One of my clients told me about him, and I've come across him on YouTube as well. Simon Sinek, for those those professionals who are into personal branding. And he made this one video that's very clever, and it's, you know, to people like us, it makes perfect common sense. And I think it starts with something like this: people buy you, or people buy why you do it, not what you do. or what you make, something like that. So people buy why you do it, and then he had this example of like, why do people buy Apple? There are multiple. I'm not an Apple user, but I can understand the example. So why? So why? And I try to relate that to me. Why do people buy from me? A, I'm honest and transparent. B, I fundamentally, to the core of, my inner core, to the root of my body, to every fiber, I believe that this is something everyone should do. This is something that empowers people from day one. And C, I have people's interests at heart. So I think that's so clever. It just got me thinking and pondering over that. People buy why you do it. If you're completely passionate and sold about it, then people will do it. If you're not completely sold and passionate about what you do, then no professional is going to be extremely successful. Or someone can. Maybe there are professionals out there, business people out there that can fake it, but can they do it for a long enough time? Maybe someone's gonna be able to tell that this guy's really faking it. I know I can't fake it. I have to. For me, I'm not a salesman. I have to do what I believe in. If you ask me to sell, something that I don't believe in, it's going to be a very, very tough sale for me. But if you ask me to sell a lifestyle solution, a fitness, an empowerment philosophy, and get down in the dojo on the gym floor and make yourself a better version, then I'm all game.
Yep, because you believe in it, and that's the bottom line. Is that we need to realize what we're trying to, I mean, everybody sells. We're always selling. We're either selling ourselves in terms of our expression, to be with a person, to be with a friend, or we're selling a service, a product, or something. But the point is, are you doing it from the heart, or are you doing it to your primary purpose is to make money? And that's starting to not work anymore. And that's the shift that I feel, that's the shift that a lot of people are feeling, that whole idea behind making money is your sole purpose in doing business. That doesn't work anymore. It'll burn you out, and sooner or later the customers will realize that that's your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't work. So then where is our heart? What do we want to, how do we want to serve? And I think that's very important. Like you said, if it's something related to fitness or something related to people wanting to make their lives better, you will do everything to show them that this is something very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And having said that, let's transition into fitness. So what's the secret to staying in great shape then?
To hiring me.
Yes, definitely. We're going to leave a link for that.
You want to know the secret? I'll tell you the secret, okay? Because people always want to know the secret to something or the other, right?
Yeah.
The secret to staying in shape is...
Do push-up right now.
is staying consistent and always growing. Now, for those people who think I'm talking about growing into a big green muscular monster, no, I'm not talking growing like that. Growing internally, growing in your game, in your game plan, in your program. So what that means is today, if I'm chest pressing 50-pound dumbbells and I can only do 8 reps, to next chest workout, I want to do 9. I want to push myself. I want to put that effort. And it's that consistent drive and effort towards being better is what the secret is. I know it's not what a lot of people might say, well, that's not the secret. That sounds like work. Well, I'm sorry to say this. The secret is the consistent drive and effort towards a worthy ideal. All right, this is how you become successful in the gym, in entrepreneurship, in whatever it is you want to take, okay? I'm still trying to get huge and the green monster I haven't achieved to be, So I'm going to still keep pushing until I'm 98 years old, which is next year. So.
Well, I'll be there for that birthday if you are 98. And that's
So
gotta go in the Guinness record if you look like that when you're 90.
right. Well, actually, I would like to share a scientific discipline of training. Um, when it comes to just the science of staying in shape, I wish more people did resistance training, more people did strength training, more people did a combination of high intensity training or HIIT workouts, but in a resistance training fashion, not just sprinting on the treadmill for, the classic example, like the 30 seconds on, 90 seconds off, because not everyone has the foundation and the stability and the muscle to support their joints, in order for them to do a sprint, so and consistently do that sprinting workout, which is what one example of high intensity training. So I wish more people would do resistance training. I wish more people would do strength training. I wish more people would try and build muscle, because as an anti-aging professional, from a fitness standpoint, muscle deteriorates every decade, if not every year, after 30 for men, and I think it goes down even deeper for women, or it's even worse because women have a harder time building muscle anyway, due to the obvious facts and whatnot. So I wish more people did that. That's really what I would say. I wish more people would not spend 45 minutes on the elliptical and actually figured out what they should do. And, get on like Google, I wish more people would say, Google how to do a 45-minute or 30-minute or 25-minute resistance training program for women. Something like that, I think I wish that's where the industry still needs to change. It's a lot better. I see more and more women doing strength training, resistance training. I see more and more guys doing it. But it still needs to get better. People need to be educated on that. It's something I'm very passionate about. All my clients, female and male, we have 98% female clients, and we make everyone do a squat, a lunge, a push-up, a pull-up. We teach everyone weight training, and they realize that they get leaner and start burning more fat, get stronger. And there's also, what I'm in love with, it also has a cerebral connection with it. There's a lot of science and research now out there that strength training or resistance training, if you're pushing yourself hard, it actually improves your cognitive ability. Do you understand that? So basically you get sharper, you get smarter, you get more focused. And how could you not? You give me a challenging weight, a 95-pound dumbbell, a 90-pound dumbbell, I can only do it 4 or 5 times, and I'm very light. I'm only 163, 164 pounds, and I'm pushing 95-pound dumbbell. By the end of the 4th rep, I'm coming down like this, and I have to focus so much harder on being in that moment, where if I'm not, I'm going to destabilize my shoulder joint, and I could risk injury. Now, I'm not advising everyone to do 95 pounds or 90. You have to consult a professional, I think, and figure out what resistance training means for you. But it's that one moment where you're in the zone and your mind and body is connected. The same thing when I was fighting, when I was in the ring and I was facing an opponent. It was that one moment where the noise shut down. I couldn't hear the fans, I couldn't hear the audience, I couldn't hear the judges, I couldn't hear my own teacher saying, I had to move this way, move this way. I was just in that one moment, which felt like eternity, and I'm just trying to stick with a game plan and adapt to what the opponent is doing, and keep myself calm and cool and strike back. And it's all happening on autopilot, so I don't know how many fighters are going to watch this video, but it's all happening on autopilot. And you have to train for that, rehearse that time and time and time and time again. So I don't find the same with when I just walk. I don't know, let me give you a low intensity example. Walk to the mall. Go for a walk in the park. Are we really in the moment? Or we're just like looking around, scenic, whatnot? And it's a different type of moment. Maybe someone would say, well, when I'm walking in the park, I'm focusing on the moment. Yeah, you're focusing on the moment and the surroundings and that kind of experience. But when you're, let's use now sprinting really hard on the treadmill, Okay, you're not thinking about your surrounding. You are one with that treadmill. You are one with the striding, the thriving. That's what I'm talking about, and that ability improves your cognitive, your capacity. You know, it just makes you better at focusing and concentration. And as you know, Faisal, we live in a society where concentrating is extremely hard.
Yep. You actually reminded me of something I read in a trading book. It was a foreign exchange, the psychology of trading. Because before I started doing this, yeah, before I started doing this, I was getting a little bit into foreign exchange and the rest of the stuff. And I read a couple of books on the psychology of it because I believe you need to train the mind before you actually do anything. And one of the things, the person, I forgot his name, but he had 17 years of experience in teaching all kinds of people and all kinds of institutions how to change your mindset. And he said that it's not really about the tools and techniques in the thing. It's more about the mindset that you're in. And what he talked about is that flow that you're talking about. It's and he gave the examples of birds when they're flocking together. They don't think about flocking together. They're in that flow because it happens simultaneously. And the same thing when you're actually focusing on something and you get into that flow, you do it. You don't think about doing it. Like when you were in the combat ring, you didn't really think about doing something. You flew like you were in that moment.
Yeah.
Focus came like from within you, and that was an accumulation of your training, your awareness, and everything you had done up until that moment. And like you said, the more we get that in any aspect of our life, it's you don't even need that much research to back that up because it's only rational to think that your focus will increase in every other aspect of your life. So I truly believe that if you can learn to focus on one thing, whether that be music or that be fitness training or that be mindset training, whatever it is, if you can learn to focus on one thing, then you can learn to focus on anything else in your life. And why is it then? Look at the other side of it. Why is it that people are distracted? Because we have so many things around us. People are constantly on their browser, on Facebook, on things that they can't focus on one thing. They've trained their mind to be distracted, and that's that I feel like is one of the biggest, most important asset is to learn to focus in your life, because we have so much in the way of entertainment, distraction, anything else. Like you can turn on TV, watch it for days, and you wouldn't get bored. And you can turn on your PlayStation and play. You can go watch a game. You can be on your browser, on Facebook, on Twitter, on all kinds of stuff. But if you don't know how to focus on the things that are meaningful in your life, you're screwed.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'm in 100% realization that that's a major challenge for our generation. The generation that we're living in, the time that we're living in, concentration is a huge, huge problem. Huge problem.
And I actually, one of the seminars I went to was Brennan Burchard's seminars, and he's on one of the boards of, I don't know which company it is, but it's a technology company. And he teaches focus himself as a personal development teacher. And he's saying that if you can't get a hold of your focus now, you think you're distracted now by the technology. Now imagine a suit that can trigger your emotions, that trigger your little like nerves in every part of your body, and get you to go into a game or a movie in a way where you completely lose touch with the reality that you're in. So the technology is getting better and better at distracting us from the reality that we live in. So how do we deal with that if we can't deal with a couple of browsers around us? So we need to learn to train our mind. Sorry?
We're in trouble.
We're in trouble. Yeah, if we don't learn to take charge of ourselves, we're in trouble. And at the end of the day, the mind is an instrument to be trained. If you don't train it, then all it's going to do is it's going to work. It's basically going to train you to do something.
I agree.
And and I think the last one we want to cover. I know you had some videos that you wanted to show the viewers, but before that, let's talk briefly about How do people, like, I mean, everyday people or people who are who want to be more fit, how do they get more motivated in fitness? Like, how do they get themselves to be motivated to be fit?
That's easy. That's the easiest question I ever get asked.
Okay.
Here's my response. You ready for another? I'm giving away all the secrets today to all the YouTubers out there, okay? The secret is you got to have a what and you got to have a why. The what is what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to accomplish? The why is that why do you want to achieve? Why do you want to accomplish that? Why do you want to feel that way? That is your question. So I always ask someone when someone comes to me for training, I ask, okay, what are your goals? Oh, great, you want to work with a professional trainer. Okay, why? And that opens up a whole different conversation. Okay, you got to have a what, you got to have a why. Okay, it's as simple as that. Why do you want to train? Well, I just bought an $8,000 wedding dress. I'm getting married. I want my arms to look really toned. I want that sense of owning myself in my own skin, walking down the aisle and being the prettiest bride on a day that's all mine. Wow. Let's get down to those push-ups. Okay. Why do you want to do what you want to do? You know what? My life is stressful. I'm very grateful for my life. I've got a great job. But at the end of the day, if I don't de-stress and build myself up internally and externally, I probably won't grow in my business. So I need a coach after hours to kick my rear and ground me so I can keep grounding other people. This is one of the CEOs that have come to me of a large corporation, and he knows that if I beat him up in the gym, he's going to have the resiliency to deal with major stresses in life, and he goes out there feeling like a champion every day at 8:30 a.m. Into his office. So you gotta really have why you want to do it. It's not going to be easy. There's no way I'm going to be able to get in the squat rack and squat that weight, which is heavy for me, if I'm not pumped up about my goals, if I'm not deeply connected with why I want to do it. Because the truth is, if it's not fun. Great things are achieved by people who have a strong why. It's like the classic story where a mother sees her little toddler or baby near the car wheels stuck under the car, and she lifts the car. Why? Because it's the most important thing in my life, and I'm going to save it. It's the most common thing out there. Why does a 24-year-old want to work out and build muscle and look all jacked up like Mark Wahlberg? Okay, well, because he wants to look good on the beach. The summer weather's coming around. He's single. He wants to get a girlfriend. Why does a single woman want to get in shape? Okay, because she's probably coming out of a relationship. She wants to go back out and meet a new partner, a lover, a new boyfriend, and she wants to get. These are all normal human needs. These are all human needs. We all want to look good, feel good. We all need a what, and we all need a why. It's as simple as that.
That's true. I completely agree. And I just call the what the vision, and the why the reason for that vision. But we need to have that to get started. Now, there is one thing though. When we have that vision, when we have that why, how do we? Let's say we come up with that. That'll motivate us to get started. So how do we do it on a consistent basis? And I mean, obviously there are days where you won't feel motivated. So what do you do in that case?
So you're asking me what to do on days that you don't feel motivated?
Yeah, let's say you have your vision, you have your why, and you're going along, you're consistent for a while, but there are days where you're not motivated. Like, how do you get yourself? Because that's the time where people stop being consistent, and then until they pick themselves up again, they'll lose that consistency. So then, how do we consistently keep ourselves motivated after that vision and why?
After you've accomplished that vision?
No, after you've gotten started on whatever you're doing.
Oh, on days that you're less motivated. I get you. Okay, well, first of all, everybody has motivated days, and everyone has unmotivated days. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So on certain days, I'm extremely motivated. I'm crushing the gym myself. And certain days, I'm not motivated, and I want to go buy a couple of slices of pizza, have it, and watch Netflix. It's normal. This is
So what do you
normal.
do?
What do I do? Um, I get real with myself. I ask myself honestly, okay, did you let your higher self down? Yeah. If I'm meant to work out, if my plan is to work out and train on that day because I'm meeting a goal, whether the summer weather's coming around, whether something else is coming around, then I say to myself, yeah, I'll let myself down. I didn't stick with a plan, and I didn't stick with becoming my own, owning my own fitness. So my company is called Own Your Fitness. You're going to see that in my uniform. I was training before I got on this interview. And part of owning your own fitness is all about being real with yourself. So, we have a snow day today here. It's a huge blizzard out there. I'm looking out the window right now at my office. And today would be a perfect day to have a couple of slices of pizza and lay in. But after this interview, someone else is coming to train me. I'm going to train her, and then I'm going to go put an hour myself, and I'm going to train myself. I could easily say, okay, I want to stay in bed and have pizza after that and take the night off, because I never take days off. I train 7 days a week. I'm always passionate about training people. But you have to ask yourself, are you going to be disappointed? Are you going to call yourself out? And I call myself out. I call my clients out. You've got to call yourself out. You've got to ask yourself, what would a stronger version of yourself do? Okay? And let me tell you something. There's another flip side to that story. The flip side is people will notice human nature is very clever. If you let yourself down today, let's say if you're supposed to do something that you don't end up doing, and if you end up having that cheat meal on a day when you're not meant to be doing that, or and it's not planned in the calendar, and it will take you 1 or 2 days away from your goal, you will have a guilty conscience. You will feel terrible. You will the next day say, you know what, pardon my French, screw this, I'm going to go out and double crush it. And I think maybe that's a healthy thing. So maybe it is better to once in a while feel demotivated, so you get a kick in the butt to yourself, and then you come back and you double crush it. You follow me? So it's a flip side to the human nature,
Yep, those are great points, Adam. And I think those are all the points that we wanted to cover. Now, you had some videos you wanted to show the viewers about your fitness, and at the end, I'm also going to leave the link for your fitness, and whoever is interested, they can go to your website. I've already done that for the people who registered, but we can leave it on the YouTube channel as well when we post it. So I have the videos that you wanted to show. Now, do you want me to just play it?
Yes, go ahead and play it. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing in each video and what I'm thinking. Go ahead.
Okay, let me see. Let me know when you see the screen, okay? Okay. Do you see my screen now?
I do.
All right.
So that's a fitness and leadership seminar and a workout I did for a college named Hudson Community College in the Jersey City neighborhood here in Jersey. And I put a whole bunch of students through a fitness workout right after a seminar I did on success in the gym and success in the business world out there. These guys are anywhere from 19 to 22, perhaps. I don't think anything older than that. This guy's in good shape because this is the second semester I'm doing it. This is the second semester that he's keeping up with the course that I taught. This is a one-on-one session with a very dedicated student of mine. He was training with another trainer, and then he approached me, and I put him on a serious resistance training, strength training program. We went from basic push-ups and lunges and squats to all kinds of variations of all those movements. And this is where I talk about growth. You have to make sure you keep growing. You have to make sure you keep growing in the gym for you to be in love with what you're doing, you know? And he's put on a good 7 to 8 pounds of muscle, lean muscle. He's in great shape, super strong. He had a weak back. I had to help him with his back. And that's another thing, you know, strength training, proper resistance training, proper programming actually helps alleviate a lot of backaches and issues in the body. You know, so I'm very proud of him, this man.
Let me go to that because you said you wanted a bunch of a few of the specific ones that you wanted to play. So this one you said you wanted to play.
Yes. What am I saying there? Hey, click on that. One that
just did 5,000. One more. Thank you. Have a great day. On your favorites. Drop. 3, 4, 5. 6. Come on. 7. Try! I thought you wanted to live, not just exist. Push. Come on. Come on. Drive. This is not quick enough. Wrong. Push. 4. Freeze. Go.
Basically, when I'm training someone, I'm training their thought process, their belief system, you know? So like every knee strike she's giving, every split squat she's giving, every person that rides a hard 60-second round on a spin bike, every person that climbs a platform, every person that lifts a weight, what I'm doing is I'm teaching them on their thought process, on like why they're doing it, what their goal is on able to do it. It's not the fact that we're just climbing up and down, you know? And what you do is you use the body, the physical exercise, to reshape your belief system. So right there, I'm basically telling her, come on, push against me harder. And what we're doing is we're teaching her how to use a focused element, her left glute, her left side of the body, to push against me and keep driving and staying on it. This is me when I'm practicing a little bit of boxing right now. It's a sport that I newly took on, and I have to reshape my entire moving process and my learning ability because I used to do kickboxing. So everything is in the mind. That's the purpose. Everything starts with the mind. Cool?
Very inspiring. Okay, any other videos you wanted me to show?
I think let's see that squat one. I think we're good for the interview.
Get to a point. We're done. Days don't mean a thing. It's just being in the moment. Damn right, baby.
That's what I spoke about earlier. Like when you're lifting a challenging weight, a weight that you require 100% focus and being in that zone, that's where your cognitive ability improves because your concentration level is challenged. You know, your connection is challenged from the mind to the body. That's why strength training and things that require your focus has to be 100% in a way where it's an intense requirement for you to focus, you get sharper. It's anti-aging.
All right, and any last video that I need to show?
No, I think we're good. You know, if the YouTube community wants to go out there and take a look at my YouTube channel's Own Your Fitness with the trademark logo TM because we're trademarked. And you know, I happily welcome any emails or questions on my website. My website is ownyourfitness.net. I'm sure you're gonna put that information on my.
Yeah, I'll put your website, I'll put your email, and I'll put the link to your YouTube as well.
Yes, and we're on Instagram as well. So if anyone has any questions, I welcome that. You know, I'm a big proponent of train your mind first and then train your body, and the gym is the first place for self-improvement.
All right, thank you very much, Adam. I think it was a great interview. Thanks for giving us all those amazing points. I actually took a lot of notes, so it's helping me as well with my fitness. If you notice, I have 3 pages of notes. So
Yeah.
you taught me a lot as well, and I'm sure viewers got a lot out of it out of this webinar too. So one other thing, I'll post all of Adam's website, YouTube channel, and email there. So if you have any questions, or if you're in Manhattan area, you wanted to go check out his gym, you can do that too, or you can just get him on the call, maybe, or email him if he can assist you in any other way. You can do that as well. Other than that, I also wanted you guys to know that there's a lot of free material on my website as well, on faisalandson.com. I'm going to post that as well, and right on the front page you'll see there will be a success training video that you just have to enter your email, and when you go there you'll be able to download a worksheet as well, where you can work through whatever you're doing, whether it's a business you want to start, whether it's a fitness program you want to start, whatever it is you want to do. It'll give you the 10 key areas that you need to focus on to get started, and there's a training video associated with it as well. And I want to thank Adam for his abundant knowledge, for his experience that he shared with us. I really enjoyed the interview. I mean, it went a lot longer than I thought, but I didn't even notice it. So I hope you guys get the same out of it as well. And I think we're done with the interview. Any last words, Adam?
Own your fitness.
Own your fitness. All right. I'll see you guys probably this week on my blog. Until then, check out Adam's website, ownyourfitness.com, and I'll put in all the links.
It's ownyourfitness.net.
.net, sorry, ownyourfitness.net. I'll put in all the links underneath this video. Check it out, and make sure you share and like this video, and share with anybody who you think will benefit from this video and this training, and check out the website, see what you can get out of it. All right, take care, guys. Have a great week. Take care, Adam. It was great having you.
Pleasure.